Jericho was smaller than Joshua expected. That surprised him. From a distance, the city had seemed enormous, walls stacked against the sky. Gates shut tight as a clenched jaw. Stories about it had grown in the telling. Impenetrable, ancient, cursed to any who tried. Up close, it was stone and mortar. Still, it frightened him. He stood at the edge of the camp before dawn, when the air was cool and honest. Behind him lay Israel tents stretching across the plain, men sharpening spears they did not yet know how to use, children too young to remember Egypt, but old enough to sense tension. Ahead stood Jericho. Joshua had fought battles before. He had led men against Amalek, had watched Moses lift his hands to heaven until victory tipped in their favor. But this was different. Moses was gone. The mantle had not settled gently. It had dropped. Be strong and courageous, the Lord had told him. Again and again, as if courage was something that had to be chosen repeatedly, not once. Joshua ran his fingers along the hilt of his sword. He knew how to plan an assault. Siege ramps, scaling ladders, strategy. He could measure men and weapons, but the command he had received was absurd. March, not charge, not attack. Walk, once a day for 6 days, 7 times on the 7th. Priests carrying trumpets. The ark at the center like a heartbeat. Silence from the people. He had not argued, but alone, he wondered. What if they laughed? The Canaanites on the walls would see them circling like a parade with no festival, would mock their silence, would grow bold in their stillness. What if the men lose faith? They had crossed the Jordan on dry ground. They had seen the waters heap up like a promise kept. But rivers were one thing, walls were another. Joshua closed his eyes and remembered the spies' report decades earlier. The fear that had spread like infection. The night the people had wept and chosen wandering over war. He had been young then. One of two who had said, "We can do this. The Lord is with us." Now he was old enough to understand the weight of that claim. A sound behind him broke his thoughts. Footsteps. He turned, hand instinctively going to his sword, and froze. A man stood before him, drawn sword in hand. Not dressed as Israel, not armored like Jericho. His presence pressed against the air itself. "Are you for us?" Joshua demanded, "or for our enemies?" The man's eyes did not flinch. "Neither," he said. "But as commander of the Lord's army, I have now come." The answer unsettled him more than either option would have. Joshua fell to his knees, forehead to the earth. This battle was not about sides. It was about allegiance. "Take off your sandals," the commander said, "for the place where you are standing is holy." Holy. Not the mountain this time, not the tabernacle, the battlefield. Joshua removed his sandals with trembling hands. Fear did not vanish. It rearranged itself. It no longer circled Jericho's walls. It centered on obedience. When dawn fully broke, he gathered the priests and the men. "We march," he said simply. No speeches, no promises of easy victory, just instructions. The first day, they walked in silence. The only sound was the steady blast of Ramesses horns and the shuffle of feet on dust. The walls loomed above them, faces peered down. Joshua did not look up. He kept his eyes on the ark. On the 7th day, as the sun climbed and sweat traced lines through dust on his skin, they circled again, and again, and again. By the 7th time, Joshua's heart pounded not from exertion, but from the fragile edge of belief. He lifted his hand. "Shout," he commanded. The sound that rose was not polished. It was not coordinated. It was raw fear and hope and memory of the sea and the river and the wilderness, all crashing together in one breath. The ground trembled. Joshua did not watch the walls fall. He listened. Stone cracking, mortar splitting, the impossible giving way. When he finally opened his eyes, Jericho's defenses were dust. He felt no triumph, only awe. Courage, he realized, had not meant the absence of fear. It had meant marching anyway, and trusting that the God who parts waters can also undo walls.